Hey, it's Ben, and welcome to the Upgraded Executive Podcast, where my good friend Nick and I discuss the tools, techniques, and strategies that you can use to upgrade your own personal and professional performance. We have recorded the first 10 shows, and we will be releasing these over the coming weeks, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. In this episode, Nick and I are discussing stress. Firstly, what are the causes and problems associated with stress? And secondly, ways to mitigate stress, achieve more balance in pressure situations, and maximise performance. Hi, Nick. Good morning.
Hey, Ben. How are you doing?
Yeah, great. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Excellent.
So today we're talking about focus and how people can get really deep focus and get themselves into a flow state.
Do you want to kick off by just explaining what a flow state is?
So I think for me, how I like to define a flow state is, those situations, Ben, where you just lose yourself for hours in work, in a creative kind of process. You might be, say, building a presentation, or you might even be building Lego with your children, and just all sense of time goes, and you just, we speak a lot about being present and really in the moment, and you are absolutely in the moment. And people who are in flow states are often associated with professional sports. So, if you think of a time where maybe you've been playing football or rugby or squash or tennis and you've scored the goal or you've hit the ball and you don't know how. It's just sort of time sort of slows down and you're doing things without having to think. And I think that, the last show we were talking about subconscious and conscious states, and I think for me, when you're in a flow state, sort of sat between that sort of conscious and unconscious state, and things just happen.
So I suppose it's like somebody performing,
yes,
but doing it subconsciously.
Yeah, absolutely. And you sort of see some people, particularly musicians, who seem to be in some kind of trance. And that's quite typical of being in a flow state. And I think the benefits of being in a flow state are absolutely huge. I've got a statue from DARPA. And DARPA's somehow related to the US military in some way. And basically what they did is they did a study on snipers. And they found that if they were able to put snipers in a flow state, they learn 2.5 times faster.
Oh, really?
Which is just incredible. And also there was a study done by McKinsey over 12 years. And basically they did a study around executives. And they found that when executives put themselves into a flow state, they were 5 times more productive. So if you can learn 2.5 times faster and it can be 5 times more productive, then I think it's a skill absolutely worth creating and developing.
Yeah, and being conscious about it. And this builds really nicely, actually, when we're talking about time management previously and allocating a period, again, using Parkinsons Law. So if we're saying, right, we're going to spend 1.5 hours or 2 hours just solely focused on the task, this builds really nicely with really maximising that time and getting the outcome that we want.
Yes, absolutely. So then, you put yourself in the right possible place from a sleep, stress, energy point of view. You start layering on some of the other things that we've been talking about. You start looking at these time management techniques. And then if you can also put yourself into a flow state, then, I think that's the perfect place to be in terms of just getting your work done in a really effective and fast way.
Can you talk us around your 8 markers of a flow state?
Yeah, so there are 8 markers of being in the flow state. These aren't actually mine, and I've pulled up on my screen here his name because his name is very difficult to pronounce. He is called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
Perfect.
And it's not easy to say. He is from the University of Chicago, and he defined flow states having 8 key markers.
Okay.
So the 8 markers are: 1, we need to have a chance of completing the task.
Yep.
Secondly, We must be able to concentrate on what we're doing so there's no distractions. The task has to have a very clear goal. The task has to provide us with some immediate feedback. It needs to be with effortless involvement, and you're sort of removed from all the worries of life, so you're just sort of solely focused on that one thing.
Yep.
It can't be too hard or too easy. Your concern for yourself disappears, but then paradoxically, when you come out of the flow state, the sense of self emerges and is much, much stronger after the experience of flow. So you feel you've been in that flow state.
Yeah.
And then finally, what we mentioned earlier, the sense of time and duration is completely distorted.
Yeah.
So he defines those are the 8 key markers of being in the flow state, and he's probably one of the most prominent people in this space that's done tons and tons of research around flow states.
How does a flow state differ with deep work? Are they one of the same thing, or are they different?
I think they're very similar. So there's a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work, and I haven't read it for a while, so I'm not massively familiar with recording the content, but I would certainly consider deep work and being in a flow state as being very similar things.
Yeah.
I'd say though that the one difference is that I think you can probably be doing deep work, so meaningful work that has to be done, and you're giving it your sole attention, but it doesn't mean you're necessarily in a flow state.
Yeah.
I think if you're in a flow state, you are completely immersed, and you do lose that sense of time.
And where when somebody's in a flow state, where's their brainwave frequency operating at?
So we've spoken previously around the different stages of brainwaves.
Yeah.
And I think we've spoken about when we're in that sort of beta, when our brainwaves are predominantly in the beta state.
Yeah.
And that's when the brainwaves are between 14 and 30 hertz.
Yes.
And that's when that's a normal waking state where we're in conversation, we're really aware, our senses are, looking for dangers. and that's most people's normal dominant state, is being in a beta state. Then we have alpha, which is between 8 and 14 hertz. Now, this is where you're in a light meditation, you're very creative, you're very present, and they call it you're in this sort of super learning zone. And then you've got something then called theta, which is deep meditation. It's where you are when you're in your dream sleep.
Yeah.
Very, very good at at solving problems. So you're really good at solving problems in the theta state, and you get really strong insights. You get those like light bulb, aha type moments. So if you can imagine the theta, the alpha and the theta states, flow state occurs at the boundary of alpha and theta.
Yeah.
So you're in that state where you're very creative, you're super learning, you're getting the insights, and you've got the ability to solve problems as well. So whatever you can do to push your brain into the low alpha state so that you're on the boundary between alpha and theta, that's going to give you the best possible chance of getting into a flow state.
So when we're advocating, we do it ourselves in terms of mindfulness and practicing different forms of meditation, it sets us up really well to get into the flow state.
Yeah, we've spoken about meditation quite a bit, haven't we? And I think that we're both big advocates for some kind of mindfulness meditation routine. And because what that does is it helps put yourself into that alpha state more often. And I think the more you can train your brain what an alpha state feels like, the more you put yourself there, the better chance you have of going sort of like deeper into the alpha state and being on that boundary with alpha and theta.
Makes sense.
And how do you find, Ben, when you do a mindfulness or meditation practice, how do you feel after it in terms of your ability to be able to do deep work and focus and get yourself into a flow state?
That's a really good question. I think for me, it doesn't happen overnight, but every single meditation that I do, and again, we've advocated a number of techniques which layer and compound for a much greater gain. But with meditation, each meditation, I see it as my baseline being positively increased. So now I feel like I'm completely present, and I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not being anxious about the future. I'm enjoying life. I'm completely present, meaning that I can make informed, better decisions, and I'm happy. So that's a great place to go into a task, because I feel mentally best equipped to focus on something to the best of my ability.
Yeah, great. I often find that after I meditate, I am able to drop into that state in a much easier way. And we'll talk through some other ways that you can sort of hack yourself into a flow state as part of this episode. But I think for me, mindfulness and meditation is one of those things that is what I would say is the hard yards. And by that, I mean, you have to get the consistency. You have to do it every day or most days. And it's just a skill you build and build and build and build. And then it's a skill you'll have for life.
Yes.
Whereas some of the other things that we will talk about are the more genuine hacks, where you can hack yourself into a flow state. But if you don't have those tools or sometimes supplements at hand, then you're not going to be able to use the skill. Whereas if you use mindfulness to build the skill, it's with you always.
Yeah, I think it's a great life skill. And like I said, it's increased my baseline of allowing myself to put me in a performance or place of performance each day. I would also say, actually, that we're not advocating people sit in a lotus position for 4 hours a day. I do mine first thing in the morning, and typically it's around 15 minutes long, because I want to be present for the rest of the day. I don't want to just be sat there and I didn't have the time to just sit there in a Zen-like state meditating. So I see it as a great way to start my day to put me in the best place possible. But I don't do it for particularly long. 15 minutes in the grand scheme of things is nothing. And I feel really good for doing it.
So I think I shared this with the audience previously. I've had a love-hate relationship with meditation for 2 or 3 years, and I think that I've always struggled to create a habit where I can sit down every single day, and it's tended to be a tool that I've used when I need it, when I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed.
Yep.
But having come across something called Ziva meditation from a lady called Emily Fletcher, that is meditation that is geared towards performance.
Yeah.
And actually, it's 2 meditation sittings a day, each for 15 minutes. And it's the second 15 minutes where I really feel the performance benefit.
Okay.
It gives me that extra boost sort of from mid-afternoon onwards. So if you're somebody that has previously struggled with meditation, then try other forms, try other modalities, maybe check out Ziva meditation or other things until you find something that really works for you. And I think the thing that I like about Ziva is that Emily Fletcher takes you through this online course, and she's very clear around things like it's okay if you get mental chatter. You're not meant to have a quiet mind. And she says something that I absolutely love, Ben, around, we're trying to tell our minds to be quiet. But just take a moment and try and tell your heart to stop beating. It's not going to happen. So we're meant to have thoughts and things going through our minds, but the objective is not to fight them. It's just to notice what's going on.
Yeah. And I've found when I am doing this, and I absolutely echo what you've just said, it's fine to have thoughts coming in, but I feel a lot more objective about them, and they slowly dissipate, and then I'm back into my meditation. So it's absolutely fine to be thinking about stuff, but I do find it dissipates, and again I'm getting calmer each minute I do it. So
I started with transcendental meditation, TM, and I bought a book by Yogani. We can put this in the show notes, which is brilliant. I think it's only £6 from Amazon, and it's literally war and peace in terms of meditation. He's got some amazing insights from his huge base of meditators with Q&A. So pretty much, I mean, it is war and peace. It answered all of the questions that I had, and then some. And I've since moved to Esther Hicks. Her meditations are beautiful, so I'd recommend people check those out. And again, we'll put a link to YouTube. It's all free, and it's whatever works for people. Don't think there's a wrong practice, and it's fine to start experimenting and see what works for oneself. So I've done 3 different forms, and I've really found a guided meditation that works for me, which I intend on sticking with.
Brilliant.
Should we talk around the hacks then for getting into a flow state?
Yes. So I guess before we go into hacks, there's sort of one other modality that I know we've covered in a previous episode that I think is just worthwhile covering again quickly, and that's heart rate variability training.
Okay.
So basically, to cover quickly, heart rate variability is the space between your heartbeats. Now, if you've got a low heart rate variability, it means you've triggered your freeze, fight, or flight response.
Yeah.
And you're definitely going to be in a beta state then.
Yeah.
Because something is seriously stressing you. And therefore, you're going to be super, super aware. If you can train your heart rate variability to have a high heart rate variability, so your nervous system is in balance, you've got a much better position than drop into alpha and theta. And you can train your heart rate variability using a device, well, several devices from a company called HeartMath.
Okay.
Which actually measure your HRV, and then through breathing exercises and thought, you can actually bring your heart rate variability up. So you can recognize when you've been triggered and train yourself out to that freeze, fight, or flight response. And that's a highly effective modality if you do feel though you're quite anxious and you're being triggered quite a lot. So we'll put the details for Inner Balance from HeartMath in the show notes.
So is this a heart rate monitor that I would wear that's part of a watch, or is it something I'd wear around my chest? How does it work?
You actually clip it on your ear.
Okay.
And then you plug it into your iPhone or Android device. And then it measures your HRV here. And then you can just do, and I think the beauty with the tube, Ben, is that you can do it on a commute.
Yes.
It looks like you've got headphones in.
Yeah.
Now you can measure your heart variability using a chest strap. You can use it with some wearable technologies. I'm not sure if the Apple Watch does it. I think it might do that. But what you can't do with those is you can't train your heart rate variability. So the beauty with the Inner Balance devices is that because it's measuring it in real time and you're getting feedback in real time, and based on your thoughts and your breathing, you're affecting your HRV, then you get that immediate response, which would be more difficult from, say, a chest band or a watch.
Yeah.
It's a great device. It's something that I provide to all of my clients, and they really enjoy using it.
Yeah. When would they use it during the day, typically? You mentioned on the commute, but would they use it at other points?
It's like all things, it has to become a habit.
Yeah. And
you should really use the Inner Balance for a minimum of 6 weeks to get the benefits.
Right.
So you need to anchor it to a certain point in your day. So typically I would do it when I'm commuting on the train.
Yeah.
The other time where it's particularly effective is maybe 5 or 10 minutes before you go on stage before a speech.
Yeah.
So then you just sort of align your nervous system and just calm yourself down.
Yeah.
So I think there are times where you can build it in as a regular habit. You just need to anchor that to a certain point in your day. Because there are other times where you might use it to put yourself in the right state. So mentally, you're in the right state, and you know you're in that performance mode.
Yeah, great insight. Thanks, Nick.
And then the other one that is very effective is expressing gratitude.
Yes.
Because when you're anxious or when you're fearful or when you're nervous, if you can truly, truly express gratitude for something and you deeply, deeply mean it, then it's amazing how the worries, the fears just start to dissipate.
Yeah.
And that's a very effective tool too, that if you're in that beta state and you want to try and drop down more into alpha, expressing gratitude for a few minutes will help just calm down your nervous system.
It's worthwhile people spending some time to do this again on a consistent basis. This isn't a one-off thing, because they might find it not difficult, but they might be expressing it perhaps in an obvious way. And it's all the small nuances when I've done it that can make the difference. So it could just be appreciating the breeze through the trees, going up to what I've got around me. So it differs on a daily basis, but I think the important thing is doing it with consistency, again, on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think that's right. And also I think, Ben, it's a case of not always allowing yourself to go to the obvious things, like I'm grateful for my wife, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my children. Sometimes just feel what comes out, and I'll allow that to guide you. So, it may well be the sun on your face, the wind through the trees, and that's completely fine.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is not to force it and to really, really feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it, because exactly what you just said, it makes one think about stuff that might be obvious, but I'm not consciously aware of it. So it really, really makes me aware of all of my life and all of the environment around me. Whereas before, it wakes me up. I might just be going for a walk, looking down. I'm not actually looking at what's going on, appreciating what I've got.
It's a great thing to do before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried doing it with your boys? I know they're quite young.
Yeah, they're 4 in October. Not so much.
We started it with my son when he was probably maybe around 5. Now he's 10 in August.
Yeah.
So we do what he calls gratefuls before bed.
Love it.
Where I do one, my wife does one, he does one, and he will never go to bed without doing it now.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a powerful thing because it puts him in the right state to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful way to drift off to sleep. Being truly, truly grateful for something. And I think that whilst it might seem a bit woo, if people struggle to connect to what they're really truly grateful for, just try putting their hand over their heart and imagine if you could breathe through the center of your heart and just concentrate on your breathing. And that really, so whenever Reese does this, and he's a typical 10-year-old boy, he'll come up with something like, I'm really grateful for my PS4. I'm like, come on, are you going to do it properly? And he always puts his hand on his heart, and as soon as he does it, his breathing rate drops dramatically.
Yeah.
And he closes his eyes, and then he comes up with something that brings tears to your eyes.
Yeah.
Because he's really connected with himself in a really special way. So I think whilst expressing gratitude, some people might feel a bit woo, give it a try, put your hand on your heart, imagine breathing through that area and just see what bubbles up.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I try and do 3 things that I'm grateful for that day. But I would advocate, if somebody's struggling with 3, start with 1. I think it's great actually for bringing both the left and the right hemispheres of the brain together and connecting them. So the emotion with the analytical side.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Ben, there's another hack, and this is a genuine hack, and this is something that some of the audience are going to think, really? Is this even a thing? And like everything, give it a go. If it works for you, it works for you. This isn't expensive, but it's called binaural beats.
Yeah.
And effectively, what binaural beats is you wear headphones like this,
Yeah.
and there'll be some kind of sound which has either got a wave to it or a beat to
Yeah.
it that plays through both sides of the headphones.
Yeah.
But for example, one side will have, say, music playing at 200 hertz.
Yeah.
The other side will have music playing at, say, 205 hertz.
Yeah.
And then your brain gets confused.
Yes.
Because it's hearing different frequencies from different sides.
Mm.
And then what your brain does is it creates something called a binaural beat to make up the difference of the 5 hertz. Okay. And that binaural beat that your brain creates pushes your brain into that brainwave frequency.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you wanted to, say, get yourself into the alpha theta boundary, which is around about the 8 hertz, if you play a binaural beat, which is 8 hertz, so a binaural beat sound, which has a difference of 8 hertz, that's going to help push you into that alpha theta zone. And binaural beats are highly effective to get you in that flow state zone.
Yeah.
They're also effective if you want to put yourself into, say, a deep meditation. So you put yourself deeper into theta.
Yeah.
Now, there are lots of YouTube binaural beats. There are playlists on Spotify.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to spend a lot of money to try this out. I recently did a presentation on this to a whole bunch of executives, and I almost, the room was almost turning against me because they were like, can't be it. And then there were 1 or 2 people in the room who were like, I've done this before and it's amazing. Yeah. And then I was like, thankful that there was some other people in the room that were advocates, because this does seem a bit woo-woo and far out there, and people might be saying, so is this just placebo? Again, if it's placebo, who cares? But if it's free, give it a go, and if it works for you and it gets you into the flow state zone, then brilliant.
And there's lots of this stuff on YouTube, as you said, for different frequencies. So depending on what state somebody wants to get themselves into, or what they would like to manifest in their life, there's a different frequency for that.
Yes, absolutely. I think the thing to remember, though, is to wear headphones.
Yeah.
It will not work if you're not wearing headphones.
Okay. And would somebody do this whilst they're meditating, or is it separate to when they're meditating?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you, Ben, because I haven't actually done binaural beats for meditation. I have done something similar, which is from a company called Biohacked, and something where you're listening to, like, the noise has rain falling.
Yeah.
And you're listening for chimes, and you have to count the chimes.
Okay.
So it's a form of, I guess it's a form of meditation and binaural beats combined.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. But no, I don't know the answer to that, but what I'll do is I will find out, and then we can pop it in the show notes.
I've tried both personally.
Okay.
I don't think any consistency. I mean, my state when I'm meditating tends to be that I'll really relax and my head will start to drop, and quite often I'll fall to sleep. So it helps again with getting into, when I tried it, with getting into that alpha towards delta states. I can just feel just really relaxing, and when I've been listening to different noise frequencies, it happens quite quickly as well.
Yeah, I feel it's highly effective for falling asleep.
Yeah,
which I've not used before, but I would imagine that if you put yourself in that delta state, which is more, theta down towards delta, then that's going to help you drift off to sleep a lot faster.
Yeah.
Now, a modality that I don't think we've spoken about yet on the show is neurofeedback.
Okay.
And this isn't something that I've tried myself. Well, I had a taster session in the Bulletproof Conference in California in 2017, but it was only literally for 5 minutes. And what neurofeedback is, basically put electrodes on your head.
Yep.
And they're able to read your brainwave activity.
Yep.
And then they're able to use that feedback to then start to train your brain.
Yeah.
And they can train your brain into an alpha state.
Yeah.
As well as they can do all sorts of other things to look at any issues you've had around PTSD and traumatic brain injuries. So they get a really good insight into what's going on in the brain. But the miracle thing is then they can actually start to train your brain to naturally put yourself into a certain state.
Yeah.
And the famous motivational speaker Tony Robbins, he went to a place called Biocybernaut. He said it's probably one of the most impactful things he's ever done in his life.
Yeah.
And for something like that to say something like that around neurofeedback, there has to be. There is something there that is really, really powerful. And I know I mentioned Biocybernaut, and there's also another one called 40 Years of Zen.
Yeah.
These facilities are not cheap. I think they're around $15,000 for a week. But you spend a week literally there training your brain. All the world's top CEOs and executives are now going to these centers because they want to get that extra performance out.
Yes.
And these are really effective ways of getting that extra 5 or 10% out and really sharpening up your brain.
I think we're hoping to try it at some point so we can review feedback. Please, Dave Asprey.
that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Spend a week just you and your brain. They give you like really good quality food and supplements, so you've got all of the fuel for the tank. But then you can just I've known several people that have also been to the Biocybernaut facility.
Yeah.
We've got a mutual connection that's actually been there that I'll share with you after the show. And she said it was absolutely phenomenal. It's actually life-changing for her.
Yeah. Do you want to talk us around flotation tanks?
Yes, this is one of my favourite things to do. And I think we mentioned it in some of the other episodes. And again, people shudder at the thought of being in a flotation tank. I've actually got one booked tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, what a flotation tank is, you're in what they call a pod, which is quite large, but you're probably in that much water, which is extremely salty. It's got Epsom salts. So what happens is you can't sink, you just float.
Yeah.
So you lay down on your back and you float, and then you can close the lid, you can turn the lights off. Then you've got no sensation of touch. Yeah. Because you're floating, it's completely pitch black and you can hear no sound.
Yeah.
So you tend to spend an hour in a flotation tank. And it is, for me, it's been an amazing experience, and it's really transformational because I can feel myself dropping quite quickly through beta to alpha to theta, and I'm in this sort of conscious, semi-unconscious state, and my brain's just solving problems after problems after problems. And then after about 40 minutes, my brain just goes quiet. It's like, leave me alone. I need time to now just be. And one part of my brain's like, no, I want to think, I want to solve more problems. But it's just like my brain just shuts down. And I must be dropping through alpha into low theta because it's a really weird experience, because you're aware of all, you're aware of all your senses. We don't have any senses, but you're very much aware of your body and how you're feeling, but yet it's almost like your brain's semi-switched off. And then afterwards, then you're just like in a bliss state. You're just chilled out. Nothing bothers you. You're super aware, but you're not from a point of view of like, I've got on the wrong train and gone in the wrong direction. You sort of like, you're still in this like blissed out state where you're probably still quite deep in alpha, even though you're up and about and you're walking around. But I think for me, sensory deprivation tanks or flotation tanks have been one of the key things to me really increasing my performance over the last couple of years.
Nick, how regularly do you have a flotation tank session?
I tend to have one. Again, I think, Benny, it depends what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
If I'm in a particularly busy period and there's a lot going on, I'll probably have one every 2 weeks.
Okay.
At the moment, I'm tending to have one probably once a month.
Yeah.
And that works for me because it feels like it's the right frequency. I think though, you know, and I think it's partly driven by cost. And it's partly driven by the fact that my nearest flotation tank is in London. Actually, there's one in Reading near you. There is, yeah. It's run by a chap called Michael Cordova. So if you want an introduction, I can introduce you to Michael. They've also got red light therapy in the centres too. So I think he's going to build the centre out. So I think if one of my aspirations is to build a garage at the side of my house and have a flotation tank in there. Yeah. If I did that, I'd probably use it 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. And I'm quite keen at some point to try and do a longer float, maybe do a 2-hour float. Okay. Because that would be quite interesting to see what happens in terms of my mental state and my conscious. Because if like the last 20 minutes my brain switches off, what's going to happen after an hour and 20 minutes? I'll probably have to have a driver to get home.
You float back.
Exactly.
And how much do the sessions typically range from in price?
I think it depends whether you're buying in bulk.
Yeah.
Whether you get special offers, but I think sessions can range between £30 and £50 a session, depending on how many you buy in the block. I think typically they're £50 if you buy sort of a one-off session.
Yeah, and that's comparable to having a massage, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I would highly recommend everybody go out and try a flotation tank. They are popping up everywhere now. I think there might even be one a bit closer to me now in Egham, I think. So, yeah, just do a quick Google search and see what you can find.
I know we spoke about this in a previous episode. Do you want to talk around smart drugs?
Yeah, I won't talk too much around smart drugs because we've covered it in a previous episode. But these are probably like the ultimate quick fix to try and push yourself into a flow state. And you know, it's obviously a temporary solution, and I think everything else that we've spoken about actually trains your brain over a period of time. And I think if you do the hard yards and you actually invest some time in the other modalities, then you're able to sort of get yourself into a flow state almost as and when you want to. Sure. Now, people are often looking for the quick fix, and you know, can I take a nootropic or smart drug that's going to help push me into the alpha theta state? And yeah, absolutely you can. And I think that, as I've said before in the previous episodes, make sure that if you go into experiment with any smart drugs, that they're legal, that you start off with a low dose, and you just be careful. Yeah, and not everything is going to work for you as an individual. You know, some things will work, some things won't, because we're all biologically different. I think that a very safe place to start is maybe to start with some of the these are not really smart drugs, but they're more supplements. So L-theanine and L-tyrosine, those are both amino acids that will help improve your ability to focus and help. And there have been lots of studies around L-theanine that does help, is proven to help drop people into that alpha state. Yep. And L-theanine is the active ingredient within green tea. So if you've ever drunk some green tea or a lot of green tea and realise you've got more ability to focus, that's probably one.
Yep. Should we summarise then the hacks for getting into the flow state in this episode?
Yep, sounds good, Ben. Do you want me to go?
I don't mind.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, we spoke about what a flow state is and the eight markers around the flow state.
Yeah.
We also covered the different brain waves moving from beta to alpha to theta to delta, and that the boundary of alpha and theta is where the flow state typically occurs. And then we spoke around the modalities around meditation, HRV training. We spoke around gratitude. We spoke about binaural beats. We covered neurofeedback. We also then covered floatation tanks. And then finally, we sort of covered smart drugs. And if you want to find out more about smart drugs, please check out our other episodes where we spoke about those in a lot more detail.
Great stuff. Thanks, Nick.
Great. Cheers, Ben.
Thank you for listening, and we hope that you enjoyed this show. You can find the video, audio, and detailed show notes at www.upgradedexecutive.com. At the end of this 10-episode podcast series, we will send all of our subscribers an exclusive ebook which summarises everything that Nick and I discuss on the shows. Be sure to leave your details on our website. You can also find us on all of the social platforms at Connect with UE.